Example number 2. This is also from the Bulgar book. I collected all the exercise from the Bulgar book. You see here, question number 2. From the following information, prepare cost sheet. They asked to prepare the cost sheet for the year ending 31st March 2013. This is also for 1 year cost sheet. First is raw material purchase. It comes under the first head. Second is direct waste. It is the direct labor. Then stock of raw material on 1/4/2012. 1/4/2012 is the opening date of the year. Therefore, the stock of raw material on 1/4/2012 is called as opening stock of raw material. Opening stock of raw material. And stock of finished goods on 1/4/2012. Stock of finished goods on 1/4/2012, 1,200 units. Its value is 6,000. Its value is 6,000. This is also called as opening finished stock because this is on the opening day of the year. This is on the opening day of the year. Therefore, it is called as opening finished stock and opening raw material. Okay. Then stock on 31st March 2013. Stock on 31st March 2013. Raw material and finished goods. Okay. You see here. Stock on 31st March 2013 means it is the year end date. It is the closing date of the year. Therefore, this stock is called as closing stock. This stock is called as closing stock. Therefore, closing stock of raw material is 11,000. Closing stock of finished goods is 3,200. Amount is not given in the problem. Amount is not given in the problem. You have to calculate the amount. You have to calculate the amount. This amount is to be calculated on the basis of cost of production per unit. Cost of production per unit. Per unit base you have to calculate. While solving the problem, I'll explain it once again. Okay, you have to prepare the cost sheet and cost of production comes at the stage of cost of production. Whatever cost per unit comes, that cost per unit taken to calculate the value of closing stock. That means 3,200 units are multiplied with the cost of production per unit to ascertain the value of closing finished stock. Okay, remember this. The units are given, value is not given the problem. Next is works overhead. It is related with the factory overhead. Work in progress beginning, you have to add. Work in progress at the end, you have to deduct. Opening work in progress, closing work in progress, you have to adjust in the works overhead. Okay. Office administration overhead is 4,000. It is directly given. Sale of finished goods is 1,80,000. It is the last item. Then during the year, 12,000 units were produced. How many units produced? 12,000 units produced. Okay. 12,000 units produced during the year, and closing stock is to be valued at the current cost of production. They have given the hints to you people how to calculate value of closing stock. And selling expenses were rupees 0.80, means 80 paise per unit. Suppose you sells 1 unit, 80 paise is the selling expense. That is selling and distribution overhead. Selling and distribution overhead is 80 paise per unit, means suppose you sells 1 unit, 80 paise is the selling expense. Then you multiply by the number of units sold, you will get the total cost of selling and distribution. Okay. Then I'll tell you number of units, how to calculate number of units sold. Per unit is to be calculated on the basis of unit produced and sold. Here unit produced is 12,000. Opening stock unit is 1,200. Suppose you will not sell nothing. Suppose you will not sell any units, then you will have 12,000 plus 1,200 stock. 12,000 plus 1,200 means 13,200 your stock. But closing stock is 3,200. Closing stock is 3,200 means whatever difference comes, that difference is called as unit sold. You may remember, I will tell you an equation for unit sold. Unit sold is equal to opening stock plus unit produced minus closing stock. Minus closing stock. This is the equation for unit sold. Unit sold is equal to opening stock plus unit produced minus closing stock. In this problem, opening stock is 1,200 plus unit produced 12,000. Total is 13,200. Deduct 3,200. Unit sold is 10,000. Okay. You see a cost sheet. Cost sheet for the year ending 31st March 2013. This is also 1 year cost sheet. In this cost sheet, I have taken the total cost, cost per unit also, because units are given in the problem. Units are given in the problem. You see your raw material consumed. In the raw material consumed, opening stock of raw material is 10,000. Inner column. Add purchase 60,000. Purchase is 60,000. Total is 70,000. Less closing stock of raw material 11,000. 11,000 is the closing stock of raw material. You deduct this. Balance is 59,000. 59,000 is the total cost. Unit produced is 12,000. Given in the problem. You divide by 12,000. You divide by 12,000, then you will get cost per unit of material. This is 4.916. 4.916. How I calculated? 59,000 divided by 12,000 unit produced. Okay. Then second item is labor. Labor is 50,000. 50,000 divided by 12,000. You will get 4.166 per unit. Labor cost per unit is 50,000 divided by 12,000 per unit. Then take the total. Total is 1,09,000. Per unit is 9.083. It is called as prime cost. Prime cost. Okay. Then factory overhead. Factory overhead is 21,000. Add opening work in progress. Opening work in progress is 2,400. Less closing work in progress. Closing work in progress is 8,000. Then you deduct 8,000. Balance is 15,400. Which this 15,400 is called as factory overhead. Then divide by the number of units produced. Unit produced is 12,000. You divide by 12,000, you will get 1.281 is the factory overhead cost per unit. Then take the total. Total is 1,24,400. Per unit is 10.366. It is called as factory cost. It is called as factory cost. Factory cost. Then office and administration overhead. Office and administration overhead is 4,000. It is only one item. You may write directly to the total column. 4,000. 4,000 is the factory overhead. Divide by 12,000. You will get cost per unit. Okay. 0.333 cost per unit. Take the total. Total is 1,28,400. Total column. Per unit column is 10.70. 10.70. This is called as cost of production. Cost of production. From the first to the means from the raw material consumed to the stage of cost of production. You divide the total column by the number of units produced to ascertain the cost per unit. Okay. This cost per unit is calculated on the basis of total cost and number of units produced. And whatever units produced are there, you take in the inner column. You see here, you consider this point very carefully. Whatever unit produced, you take in the inner column. 12,000 units produced. To this 12,000 units produced, you add opening finished stock. Opening finished stock unit is 1,200. Okay. Value is 6,000. And don't calculate the cost per unit. Don't calculate the cost per unit. Take the total. Total is 13,200 unit. 13,200 unit. 12,000 plus 1,200 is equal to 13,200 unit. This is unit, not the amount. Amount is 1,34,400. Add opening finished stock. Then less closing finished stock. Okay, less closing finished stock, but closing stock units are given, that is 3,200 unit, but value is not given in the problem. Value is not given in the problem. Therefore, you have to calculate the value. Closing finished stock. Closing finished stock. How to calculate this finished stock value? You take the closing finished stock unit and multiply by cost of production per unit. Cost of production per unit is 10.7. Whatever you calculated here, you take this cost of production per unit and multiply by the number of units. Okay, you see here. 3,200 are the units. Cost of production per unit is 10.70. Multiply by this, you will get 34,240. This is the method of ascertaining the closing stock of finished goods. Okay, how to calculate? You see here. In the inner column, you have to make adjustment relating to units. 12,000 unit produced. Opening stock unit is 1,200. Total units 13,200 and less closing stock units. Now, cost of goods sold. What it means? How many units sold? How many units you sold means 10,000. Automatically, the unit sold comes for your further calculation. Okay, unit sold is 10,000. And value of that unit sold is 1,160. From this stage onwards, from this stage and for the subsequent stages, you have to consider unit sold but not unit produced. Okay, 10,000 units are there and divide the total cost by 10,000 units, you will get 10.016 is the cost of goods sold per unit. Cost of goods sold per unit. Okay. The next stage is selling and distribution expense. Selling and distribution expense is 80 paise per unit. That is given in the problem. 80 paise per unit. How many units you have to take? This is a complication. You have to take the unit sold here, not produced. unit sold. From this stage, you have to consider unit sold for your calculation. Unit sold is 10,000 unit. Here is the unit sold 10,000. You multiply by 10,000, you will get total amount 8,000. 8,000 is the selling and distribution expense. And per unit is 80. Sorry, 0.80. That means 8,000 divided by 10,000. Okay. From the starting stage to cost of production, you divide by unit produced. Then afterwards, from the cost of goods sold, from the cost of goods sold stage to last stage, you take the unit sold for your calculation. Remember this point. Okay, then take the total. The total is 1,08,160. Per unit is 10.816. 10.816. This is called as cost of sale. This is called cost of sale. Then you leave one line and take this sale. You leave one line here and take this sale. Sale is 1,80,000. Total amount of sale is 1,80,000. Per unit is 18 rupees. How I calculated this 18? 1,80,000 divided by 10,000. 10,000 units are sold. Therefore, you divide by 10,000. 18. And the difference between these two is called as profit or loss. In this problem also, sale is more. Therefore, difference is called as profit. Difference is called as profit. Total profit is 71,840. Per unit profit is 7.184. This is the profit per unit. Okay. In this problem, we are given importance to the calculation of value of closing finished stock. Closing finished stock is to be calculated on the basis of cost of production per unit, current rate. Okay. And how to calculate the unit sold? How to calculate unit sold means at the stage of cost of production, you take the unit produced and adjust the units in the inner column. You will get unit sold.